Well, I have 10:02 and I think we'll get started. Andrew, you're recording, correct?
Correct.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm John Hall. I'm the president of the AMDCA, and this is our annual meeting. It's our second year doing this via Zoom. Normally at the annual meetings, we start out doing introductions, talking a little bit, just briefly about yourself and maybe what your relationship with Devon's, in other words, how many you own. So I'm going to start out. I live in Westport, Connecticut. I've been the president for I think 22 years now. We've bred Devons here for almost 400 years on the same farm. We currently have about 60 head. With that, I'm going to let the other directors introduce themselves, starting with Andrew.
My name's Andrew Van Ord. We're in northwestern Pennsylvania. I just have a small farm. I think we've got six cows calving this year. I have four calves so far, and six head of working cattle, and of course a bull.
Dale.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name's Dale Fryer, and I'm in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region, Seneca Falls. I have about just under 100 Devons and up here on 165 acres.
Okay, Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve Burton. I live up in Remsen, north central New York State. Between my wife, my son, and I, we've got about 142 head on the ground as of 8:30 this morning, but we're right in the middle of calving season, and by the time we're done, we'll probably be hitting the 175 mark. Wow. So,
Mark.
Yeah, my name's Mark Winslow from Falmouth, Maine. My wife Kim is here too as well. Together we got a small farm, and we have approximately 15 head of Devons between cows and heifers. We got 3 pairs of working cattle right now, selling 1 pair out to, like I said, in Colorado, starting some other teams as well. So thank you.
Jeremy.
Yeah, hey, good morning. This is Jeremy Michaud from East Hardwick, Vermont. We've got about 20 head of Devons, and I've had those for probably 15, 20 years. We also own and operate a dairy farm business where we have about 650 head of Holstein cattle and an on-farm processing operation.
And we have one other director who's unable to join us today, Bruce Farr from New Hampshire, who is our secretary. With that, Bonnie, if you want to say hello, our registrar.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Hall. I'm the registrar and in Connecticut with John, 60.
Okay, I'm going to go around the screen as I view you folks and ask you just to do a little quick introduction.
Hi, I'm Howard Daniels. I live right near Steve Burton in upstate New York in Verona, New York, and I have about 30 head. Haven't started calving yet, but it'll probably jump up to about 40 this year.
Okay, Eudora.
Yes, I am from a little town called Flynn, Texas, which is about 45 minutes northeast of Texas A&M, Bryan College Station. I'm pushing 60 head. And my calf in the fall. So all my calves are born last fall. So we'll increase numbers this fall.
Okay, Sam.
Living in Southwest Virginia, between Kentucky and Tennessee, and we have 4 Devons right now.
Okay, I have a screen that says HP 362 with a couple of nice folks.
Yeah, that's the Hollenbecks. I don't know why our name didn't come up. We're from Trail City, South Dakota. Currently, we have right around 59 head. That includes the cows, the heifers, and bulls.
Thank you, Mary. Good to see you, Don.
Yes.
Let's see, who's next? One that says Satin KW.
Mom, unmute your
That's
thing.
you, Karen.
I forgot to unmute. Okay, I unmuted it. Yeah. So I'm Karen Weaver. I guess Dora got tired of me giving her all kinds of things to milk, and she went to American Milking Devons. While she was growing up, I even had her milking a Bramer once, and an Angus, and anything that had a bag on it. She brought it in and figured out how to milk it. And then she was a milk bootlegger back when she was
Okay,
a
you're
kid.
supposed to say who you are and how many cows you have.
Oh, okay. So I'm Karen Weaver, and I don't know how many cows I have, Dora.
I do 12. I just worked them.
Okay, 12. So that's it. That's good enough. Thank you.
Okay, Kim.
Yes, hi, good morning. Good to see everyone. As Mark mentioned, we're in Falmouth and we have, I think, total like 20, maybe 22. And we tend to calve in like July-ish. So again, that works best for us in our climate here in Maine.
Hey, Susan, you're up next.
Hi, Sue Randall, New Durham, New Hampshire. We're out of milking Devons except for a team of oxen that are, I think, 14 this year. I used to be the registrar before Bonnie, and we, at the peak of our herd, I think we had 16 milking Devons, and I think I was the registrar for almost 25 years.
Okay, Lawrence, you're up next.
Lawrence Gilly, Deansboro, Central New York. We have 3 cows and a bull, and we're hosting Michael Gorecki's cow.
Okay, and Michael, you're up next. You're on mute. Okay, evidently he's not there, so let's move on to Emily.
Hey everyone.
Good morning.
Which Emily? There might be two.
I'm looking at Emily O'Leary. How's that? Emily O'Leary, why don't we go with you first?
Sounds good. Sorry, Emily. I'm on the way to soccer, guys, so you might hear some background noise. But we're in Minnesota, southeastern Minnesota. We have had Devon since 2020. We have about 20 head and calve, 8 to 12 each year. So that's.
Thank you. Okay, the other Emily.
Hey, this is Emily Chastain. My husband and I, we live just near Chattanooga, Tennessee. We have 17 Devons. We should have one more born this year. Our focus is really raising beef in a regenerative system, so low input, fully grass finished, calving ease, etc. We do hope to milk our Devons one day. I have milked a couple of them just for fun. But I'd really like to supply our family with milk full time in the future. And then the dream is also to have a pair of oxen.
Hey, Terry, you're next.
Hi, I'm Terry Greer. I live in Central Virginia, about an hour south of Richmond, and I got 28 headed of Devons.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah, I'm Brad Dalzell. I'm here in north central Oklahoma. I have a pretty good sized commercial herd, but I'm brand new to the Devons. Got 2 cows, heifer, and just recently added a bull. Brand new to the community, but I fell in love with them quite some time ago and excited to get started.
Hey, thank you, Stephanie.
Hey there, I'm Stephanie Karatzis, and I've had Devon since 2012. And we are in Asheville, North Carolina area. We have an 11-acre homestead farm. I rotationally graze. We've got a bull, 3 cows, and currently 3 bull calves.
Okay, next up is Lincoln.
In the middle of it.
Lincoln, you're muted.
Hi, my father is Jeremy Michaud. I'm from Northern Vermont. I'm here because I received the Ray Clark Memorial Scholarship, and I look forward to pursuing in the future with the Devon breed, but also having a small herd at some point, along with working steers. So,
thank you. Next up is Sean.
I think this is probably the Sean you're talking about. My name is
Right.
Sean, out in Oregon. I missed the first part of the meeting, but I gather that we're sort of introducing ourselves, our farms, and our head.
Yes.
I have one bull. I had a cow, but she unfortunately passed before being bred to my bull. So I am in search of American milking Devons, if anyone knows any that are on the western half of the U.S. I've had cattle and goats in the past, and looking forward to getting more involved with the organization.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more with just a phone number, no name. Area code begins with 303. If you'd like to identify yourself, say hello. And you're muted. Okay. If not, then let's start the meeting. I think everybody's had a chance to say hello, put some names with some faces. The first order of business are the minutes from last year's annual meeting. You should have received all of them in the email packet that you got from Bruce. I'll take any comments or corrections, or if there aren't any, I'll take a motion to approve whenever you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last year, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are carried. President's report. I'll just talk briefly about my observations from the previous year. The board of directors continues to work very well together for the organization. My dog wants to give her report. We meet monthly via Zoom, and some of the committees meet more frequently than that. We have really enjoyed Dale's work, and I have to single Dale and his family out for all the work they've done on the new website and getting all of that up and running and getting caught up with the 21st century technology here, where members can join with credit cards, which is something we've heard about for years. It's finally come to fruition. We are working on getting the registration piece fixed on the website so they can be done via the internet. One of the big pieces we have taken on in the last 6 months, and I'm going to talk a little bit in depth about that, is Bonnie has given her intent to retire from the registrar position for the organization. She has been willing to work with us while we do some transition. The board has explored a number of different avenues to go down, and we have settled on contracting with Holstein USA to do our registrations and transfers and herd book moving forward. We haven't signed the contract yet. That may come this coming week. We've had negotiations back and forth. Holstein USA registers all of the Holsteins, and Jeremy, you might want to help me out here, in the country, in North America, or how far on. They do thousands of cattle. They also do the Ashire breed. So they're very well versed in cattle registrations and some of the issues and complexities that come with that, and trying to, flesh out problems with incomplete applications, et cetera, et cetera. So we're moving forward to get in an agreement with them. Having said that, the board has looked at our costs and what's involved and the time estimates we get from Holstein USA. And at some point, we're going to have to increase fees for registrations, transfers, et cetera. Obviously, our one current and one prior registrar are on this call. They know how many hours they put in and have not been compensated other than a token gift each year, if that in some years. It's not an intentional slap in your face or anything. We appreciate all the work you ladies have done for us over the years. But we do have to move on, and we do have to make sure we continue to have professional, complete services that, that like you've provided, but going forward. And we realized we have to pay a little bit for that. So the board has decided to keep all the fees the same as we move into this transition. At some point, After we get some data and some experience with them, we will adjust the fees, and we will probably do that with a special meeting at some point in the next year. If not, we may wait till next year's annual meeting, this type of meeting next year, and do it at that point. But we want to see what the real life experience is, what the real life costs are as we move into this as a breed association. Having said that, we're going to use some of our treasury funds to supplement the differential as we go forward. So we don't have to increase fees right away until we know where we are and what fee level we need to be at to be sustainable for this relationship going forward. So that's all I want to touch on. I know, Jeremy, you've helped organize this, and Dale, if you two want to speak up a little bit about it.
No, John, I think you summed it up pretty good. I mean, we can take some questions on this probably a little bit farther down in the meeting, correct? I'm assuming.
Yes,
but
yes.
Either way, I mean, there's been a bunch of us who put some energy into this and a lot of coordination and, redrafting some SOPs to try to make the transition as smooth as possible. In addition to that, there will be hiccups along the way that we will work through. Like anything new, it's going to take a little bit of energy on our part for the first period of time to get through this. And that's part of the reason why we're not going to increase the fees at this time, so we can better understand what the true budget is, so that when we come back to the membership with information, that it is accurate. So
Maybe
we'll go from there.
Just want to talk about Holstein. You have experience with them, Jeremy, and the size, maybe the scope of that organization that we're going to partner with.
Yes, we do have registered Holsteins here on our farm, and that kind of led me into this conversation when we first got up and going on this process. A very, very professional organization, very, very large organization that handles registrations, pedigree information, and for thousands and thousands of members and millions of cattle. So their reputation, I would personally vouch for, and I think a lot of people in my industry would do the same. So this is not a fly-by-night kind of random pick a fly off the wall group of folks. They have technical expertise. They have the access to the information that we need, and they have several checkpoints and stopgap measures in there to protect the purity of our registry. So I think it's going to be a positive move in the short term. It's just going to take a little bit of work on our part.
So like Jeremy alluded to, I think we can take some questions as we get down into new business, because we want to get through our reports here. I do want to make one additional comment about that. I know Jeremy said we may find some bumps, we may find some glitches, which we'll do our best to work through and smooth those out as well as we can. We are asking for you members' participation and helpfulness as we work through that to help, I know the social media platforms are wonderful things, and I see a lot of comments out there that people are quick to be keyboard warriors and criticize people on and people who have done a lot for the association, not realizing how many volunteer hours are put into this. And we are trying to move the breed association forward as best we can. Don't appreciate the criticism, though. We're asking for your help, your understanding, and help us get through any of these glitches and roadblocks. So having said that, let's move on to the rest of the report. So you have in your package a treasurer's report. I'd like to run through that briefly. You can see our balance in January is $9,893. Our total income for the year is $7,157.11. And then I break out the expenses. Computer programs, support for programs that Bonnie uses, $372. Our director's insurance has been standard for years, $698. $88 for office supplies. $4.86 for postage to communicate with the registration papers and all the stuff that Bonnie mails out of here. The registrar, $1,400. That was the annual gift of about 600 plus any registrations over 4 years old. The registrar gets a little stipend for each one because of the work that's involved in tracking down the history of those registrations. So that totaled $1,400. I issued a $20 refund to one member who overpaid. Our scholarship award was $1,000, as it is every year. The semen storage that we pay for at North American Breeders, $498. The state of Vermont for our status as a corporation in Vermont, $325. And then website support for the new website and some of the other design that we did totaled $1,297 for total expenses of $6,185.38, leaving us a balance on hand of December 31st, $10,865.01. And just to make you all aware, our current checkbook balance as of today is $12,984.79. Are there any questions on the treasury report? Moving on, the next report is the CD analysis, our certificates of deposit. You have that, Andrew?
It should be up now, correct?
Yep. So this is money that we have in 3 CDs. This is some of the money that we're probably going to have to tap into as we cover cost differential with the transition to Holstein USA. But you can see there are 3 CDs. You can see the history. They were opened in 07, 09, and 2014. Currently, they're invested at a 3.61 APR interest rate. The board authorizes me to renew them at the best rate I can find as they come due. Currently, they're in 9-month CDs. You can see the maturity dates. And then the interest summary. Our total interest on all 3 this year was $587.88. And our total value as of December 31st, $18,070.43. Any questions on the CD? So at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report, including the CD analysis, and place it on file for audit. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move that we approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor can signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Moving on, committee reports, genetics. Steve, if you'd like to give the genetics committee report. You're on mute, Steve.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. As far as the genetics committee goes, we pretty much got the DNA proposal set, but most of the time recently has been spent on trying to get the registry set with Holstein Association. So we kind of put that on the back burner till we get that squared away, because much of what we'll be covering in both involves registration. So it's best if we kind of see what Holstein has for us before we have to change something else. So thought it was wisest to just wait. And when we do have that, we'll either have a special meeting or some communication to put in front of the membership as far as the vote goes. And that's all I've got.
Okay. Any questions for Steve? Let's move on to the registrar's report. Bonnie.
Okay. I don't know, but do you want me to do the membership first?
No,
Or-
registrar,
Okay.
your membership's the next item.
Okay. So in 2025, there were 305 registrations, of which 218 were females, 87 were males, 214 were under 1 year. It's on your screen now. 44 were 1 year but less than 2 years. 25 were 2 years but less than 3. 22 were 3 years but less than 5. And there were 218 transfers, and 4 loss certificates were issued. Let me go into the semen.
Sure.
So semen sold, we had a total of 9 straws for Meadowbrook Glory Herc Gilbert, 2 straws for NOLA Hurricane Floyd, 7 straws for Green Valley Apollo. And that was it for a total of 28 straws.
Well, you're showing 10 for Axel here.
Oh, so sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. WAF Axel, yes, 10 straws. So that made 28.
Okay, any questions on that for Bonnie?
Before you move on, Bonnie, the registrations were 305. Probably you and Sue can confirm this, but I think that's a record for us, isn't it?
That is a record since I've been registrar. Yes.
So I'd just like to point out, there was some doom posting recently, but that's a 39% increase over last year, and last year was a 32% increase over the year before that.
Right. Thank you, Andrew.
So I think in reality, that's actually some pretty positive news.
Yes.
I think we can acknowledge.
Yeah. I think too that you're getting a pretty constant, whereas before the age limits were put in place, sometimes I'd get 30 animals all at once. I think you're getting a pretty constant, accurate level each year, rather than, huge jumps or losses because of delayed registrations.
Any other questions or comments for Bonnie? I do want to just jump in with a comment of my own here, and I should have probably mentioned this in my president's report. This association is really growing. Historically, going back to mid-1970s, 74, there were less than 200 animals in the breed. That was it. In 2004, as I took over as president, Sue and Drew and Ray and a few others did a very extensive survey, called everybody they could think of, male, whatever. We found, Sue, I think it was 437 breeding age females alive, correct? In 2004. We're now approaching, as best estimate, 3,000 animals. So it took 20 years for the herd essentially to double. And in the last 22 years, we've gone up 700%. So you can see that we're growing at a much faster rate each year, as Andrew noted, with, hitting these 300 numbers. So we've really made a lot of progress. And there's a lot more interest, I think, in the breed than there has been in the past, particularly in the last few years. That's just my comments. Any other comments on the registrar report?
Can I just tell you one thing? I have a grandson in Michigan that is trying to find a Devon he can afford to buy. He's just 21.
Nice. Okay, Bon, let's move on to membership.
Okay. And wait for Andrew to put that up. So as you can see, in 2025, we have 86 members, of which 3 are lifetime members, 3 are junior members, and we have 0 associate members in 2025.
Any comments on that? Okay.
Hi, John, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Some of the last years that I was registrar, I think we had like 120 members. Is it that less people are owning more cattle since the numbers of cattle are going up?
No.
People are really, if I can answer that, people are not paying consistent dues.
That's what the answer is.
Okay.
When they want to register an animal, they have to pay.
Yep.
And so that's when that comes in. It's $20. It's not a lot. It helps the association. but to ask for, sometimes I'll get 50 registrations to do for people. So it's a lot for $20. Sure, it costs $5 if they're under a year, but I'm sure John will get in maybe into all of that. There's a lot going on that people are not holding their end of the bargain up. The animals are doing a great job, but it's always the people, isn't it?
Same problems.
Same
so
problems, different year.
Sue, you said you was what, 100 and something paid one year, correct?
Yeah, I think
So-
we were averaging like 110, 120 people a year.
Yeah. So what that is, we're probably have a lot more people than that own Devons and consider themselves members. These are actual paid memberships.
Yep.
And, we see all kinds of excuses like you don't send an annual renewal. Well, we send it out in every email communication that Bruce does. Prior to that, it was in every newsletter that Tom Slater produced. And now we have the membership available to pay online with a few clicks of a button and entering your credit card. So people, for whatever reason, just aren't joining every year.
Yeah.
And you have to be a paid member by April 1st to receive a ballot to vote. That's really the only incentive we have for people to join, other than when they have to register animals, they have to pay their annual due.
Yeah,
that point,
that's been happening for 40 years.
Forever, yes.
And this is a problem. If you consider yourself a member of the association, why not support the association with $20? I mean, $20 doesn't go anywhere today. I mean, it's a nominal fee.
And
But
what's
also,
really
I
hard,
believe as the year goes on and people want to register and transfer animals, they will continue to join. And so
Right.
by the end of the year, I'm sure that we will probably exceed that 100
yes,
figure. I think that's normal, correct?
Yeah.
absolutely.
But
But the
we still
problem-
have members that don't join for 2 and 3 years of bunches
Right.
at a time until they decide to register some cattle before they're 5 years old, and then they send in $20 and register 3 or 4 years worth of,
That's
the
not
prodigy
right.
that they want to
Offspring.
get registered.
Right. It's not, that part's not right. And then I feel bad for people. I mean, I still have people that I'm waiting to get back to because I'm waiting for transfers to come through. So it looks like I'm ignoring, but I can't do anything. So people are transfer. This is a huge problem. I'm sure Sue, you had this too, but it's really bad. There are people that are just handing the registration to the new owner or not even handing any paperwork. They transfer the animal, and as far as the database is concerned, it's owned by sometimes two people before that latest seller. So I don't know how the board will work to capture that and fix that, but it's going to be difficult going forward because you track the animal, and I can't do anything for the new people until the sellers come through. And if that's their last animal, they don't care. So they're either not answering the buyer or they're not answering, it's not my job to find them, but they're just not, they're not there. They're not present. And it's really difficult because it leaves a bad taste for the association, but it's also not welcoming to a new member, because I like to send them a welcoming letter and explain a little bit about the association and where they can go to find their questions answered, who they can call. And it's just difficult because they're out there spinning around waiting. They've got animals in their pasture, but they don't have the paperwork to follow it. So it's frustrating.
I believe the progressive fee structure has had some success though, right? In reducing the amount of that.
It has, but I've got several on my desk now that they've got animals and they don't have papers. And I haven't heard from, I got something overnighted because I've been working with one couple and they must have put the pressure on. I haven't opened it yet because getting ready for this meeting, but it was overnighted. So either they found the certificate or they're asking me to generate a new one for a lost certificate fee. I don't know yet, but this poor couple, they've had the animal for however long and they've sold the animal. So no paperwork ever shows that that couple had the animal. And so that's just a problem. It only becomes a problem when it affects them and they want to sell an animal too.
Well, it's hopeful, right, that if we coordinate and partner with the Holstein USA organization, they've obviously run into this snag. so hopefully that will mitigate that issue or concern, and it'll be a consistent process and something that isn't labor intensive. Either it's a yay or an A. I mean,
Right. It's
you
an
know,
A. I mean, it's
so
an A
that
until
should
I get
mitigate
paperwork.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
In theory.
To answer you, Andrew, I begged for years for them to the board to do this staggered fees because that's what I was getting. Somebody would send me 25 registrations and they were from 7 years past. And I think it probably has helped somebody. It's spurred some people to keep them up a little better. But there are still people who, they don't feel responsible to the cattle, I think, and they don't feel responsible to the people they sell to.
No,
And
exactly.
we have no leverage over them. That's the hard part because, I'd like to think that people are breeding milking Devons, number one, because they want to support the breed, and there should be some integrity behind that.
Right.
But it doesn't always work that way. Maybe the Holstein registry will have worked some of those. I'm sure they probably have some experience with it too.
Well, if you don't know who the people are, I don't know how you reach out to them. So that's where I'm at. I don't know these people. They're not members. People haven't been members. So they're new folks coming in. You want to welcome them. You want to make them feel part of the Devon family, but they're just hanging out there because of, I mean, we say it, how many times can we say it? I mean, I've had I've had talks with Dale. I mean, you could put it in boldface, you could make it blinking on the website, and people just glaze over it. They don't see it. But it's just a simple call to the registrar to say, do these folks register regularly or do they not? I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to say, yes, you're going to have not a problem getting your paperwork, or I might consider something else because it's just not a consistent thing. So that's all I've ever said to people, and but they don't all call, so I can't help those that are, and some people are looking for a good deal, and if it's too good to be true, some animals are sold without paperwork. Some people want to cull their animals. I mean, I've heard it all. So they want to cull the animals. They might be registered, but they were new at it, and they've looked at all the videos that John and the board have put out in all these years and said, well, that's a breed standard and mine doesn't meet it. We don't all have perfect cattle in our field. So some of them are culling them, and they'll tell me, and I will put it in as deceased, So if someone tries to register it, I mean, they can't, if they sell it without papers, they're selling it without papers for a reason. So.
Okay, so these are some of the issues that the people on this call are not the offenders, but
no.
I'm asking everybody on this call to help as we move forward. If you sell, if you transfer, please complete the paperwork correctly. Encourage your friends and fellow breeders to try to conform to the rules on either the website work or paperwork that you do. It just makes it so much easier. And in the long run, it will save us a little money as Holstein moves through this, because the longer it takes them to do stuff, the more fees we're going to get charged. So I just am asking for cooperation. We can make this a very smooth transition going forward.
Don, something in the past that was helpful to me, you probably remember Wes Utter down south.
Yeah.
He was he kind of created his own little hub down there, and anybody knew he kind of heard about them, he'd get in touch with them, he'd offer to help them with registration, he'd remind them, and you might consider something like that. I think you already kind of have contacts in different areas, and maybe you can expand that a little.
So Sue, to address that, going back shortly after you were off as registrar, the board put into place regional groups, and Andrew, I think you were involved, and Jeremy, you were involved at that point in this stuff, where we tried to have a director take a certain region of the country, work with the breeders in that area to try to get better communications, better relations, to help solve some of these problems. And nobody really stepped up as far as breeders or anything to work with the directors we assigned. I mean, Jeremy, you may want to comment on that. You were very involved in that at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great idea when we first started, and there was a response. I mean, I think we had a Mid-Atlantic group there that was engaged with us for quite some time, and then it just kind of fell off the edge of the earth, I guess. We just couldn't motivate anybody in a specific region to take some leadership of that area. So, but I thought it helped for a little while in the beginning, that first year or two, but then after that, it kind of fell apart.
Yeah, it worked very well, and that resulted, I think, in that Virginia show that we did for 3 years down there. And then when some folks got a little older and retired out of that, and COVID came along, everything just sort of fell apart. So, I mean, that's something we can revisit if the board is so inclined, is to try to get more regional interests together. And what it takes is someone in that area to kind of spearhead it and work with the board or with a director to improve those communications. Anything else on membership? Okay, let's move along then. Communications, Andrew.
Yeah, so the official Facebook page has a little over 1,300 followers currently. Obviously, Tom isn't putting out the newsletter anymore. We're still looking for a volunteer if somebody wants to volunteer to start putting out a newsletter and work with the board on that. I'm sure we'd be willing to talk. In the meantime, we've been utilizing Bruce sending targeted emails to disseminate information, and then also, if you look at the bottom of the new website, there's a scrolling widget that we've been trying to utilize as well. And that's really all I have. I would turn it over to Dale with the big news on the new website.
It's next on the agenda. So Dale, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, I wasn't here last year. My son was graduating at the annual meeting day. So, the new website had gone live in February of 2025. And so maybe if it's okay, I'll just take a minute to kind of give my background in it. I'm not a web designer by trade, but I wanted to kind of pick up where Lawrence had, done the work with the website in the past and others before him. And so I really tried to do my due diligence, looking for, what's the purpose? How can this be scoped out? I looked at multiple different companies that could help us do that. And then, with the support of the board, was able to move forward. Like many things, it took longer than I thought it would. And but I really wanted people who clicked on our website to kind of see the same thing we feel about our cattle. I wanted them to see the beauty. I wanted them to see the kind of the intelligence and the the things that make us love them. And so, you probably see there's a lot more pictures and things like that, but it also had to be functional. So it wasn't just aesthetics. We needed it to be functional for the board as a repository of information for us. It needs to be functional for the registrar. It needs to be functional for the membership. And so, anyways, that was my goal in doing those things. And just to give you a little kind of background, so in that first year, we had about $1,100 worth of transactions happening on the website. That was almost all membership because we had taken the electronic registration down, and that cost of using the electronic pay structure was only $50. So for, it's just a few percentage points, that allow the ease of, becoming a member and doing that online. And then for this year, we've got about $700 in charges on it, and there's like 20 some dollars worth of fees. And so, it's to cost us a little bit, but hopefully it's providing us, that ease of service that we want for our membership. And so the electronic registration forms, I just wanted to say a little bit about that. Did put a lot of time in creating those and building those directly into the website. And I think in the future that can be very, very helpful to us. Of course, we'll always, have our paper forms available for registration and membership because that's just the diversity we have in our group. But we need to have things on the backside of the website to receive electronic information to give us efficiencies electronically. And I think with Holstein, we'll be able to do that, which actually might help mitigate some of the costs. And just let you know, I'm constantly looking at that, trying to work on new forms. Andrew, is there any way you can allow me to share my screen for a second so I can bring up the JOT form? I would love to show it to everybody if we have the time, John.
I'm sure that it's possible. I think if you go down and share, I believe I can grant you.
Okay.
There, you should be good to go.
Should be good to go. So is that blown up enough that everybody can see that?
I haven't seen it yet, Dale.
Oh, okay. Can anybody see it yet?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
All right. How do I do that then? I want to share and I want this. All right. How about
There you
that?
go. It's coming.
Coming up. Says you're sharing.
There you
There's a
go.
guy.
There you go.
Okay. Can you guys see it big enough to read it or no?
Yes.
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 Okay, so I don't know those of you had seen it on the first website that came out in 2025. This is using different technology to create, and I would love just some feedback on what you guys think for those who would do electronic registrations. But this is basically in a streamlined form, going through all the questions the registrar would need, so and basically information for those to kind of fill it out. Anything with a red star is required in order to keep moving down. So, you have the same stuff that's on our paper form, working through, the registrations of the sire and going through the pedigree. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast here. And then we get down to stuff with like the, breeding situation and ways to attach documents like your breeding slip or those type of things. And then I'll just kind of run down here. If you want to transfer the animal at the same time, and if you clicked yes, it would open up a whole section here where you can now do the transfer at the same time, and you can put in the data transfer. And then a place for signature, which I think is good on these applications. And then a little bit more streamlined way of paying for it, So like if you were going to pay online, how many new animals are you registering? Here's the cost. You put in your quantity, all the way down to if you're adding a transfer, and then your credit card information at the end.
I have a
That's
question.
beautiful, Dale. Wow.
Yeah.
Dale, I have a question.
Go for it.
Is this working in conjunction with the Holstein, or is this something separate that you're doing on your own?
This is me on my own, but because we also work with Holstein, like our kids are in, junior Holstein stuff.
Oh, got it.
They use a lot of JOT form, and JOT form, is just an easier way to create a page. The one on our website that I took down, we fully own. Nobody has access to any of that. This one is using a secondary service to create it. But the idea behind here is to make it as easy as possible for those who want to do it electronically. Capture the right data, and the first iteration of this was a little bit more complicated, and then it also was creating like CSV files of data that right now we primarily do a lot of our paperwork through the registrar doing kind of manual entry. Holstein may be able to receive this in like lump sums and automatically integrate that into pedigrees once the information's checked. That could help us save time and money.
Thank you.
Yep.
This looks good. I have one question.
Yeah.
Dale, the tattoo. So I generally have just done the registration number, but I see that it makes you put that in, but I don't know the registration number until it comes back to me. So is there an option for that, or do I need to, I'm cheap, and so I just didn't want to buy two sets of like letters.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. That's a great question, because with this, we started drafting like very, very detailed standard operating procedures that take individuals through the background of why we register animals, and then each step of the application, every single line. And when you guys see it and give us feedback on it, it's going to look very laborious, but it's profoundly detailed, and it answers that specific question about giving people examples of what they might want to use for tattoo. Actually, Sue, I think I got a lot of this off of some of your old paperwork. And then very specifically saying on the application, you must indicate that you want the registrar to apply that number, and then you apply that number in a tattoo to the cow when it comes. But that is just the first that what we just saw this morning is just the first draft of it. That will all be available. Like we're going to leave no stone unturned as far as the details of this. Probably the instructions for registration will be 6 pages. Not that everybody will need it, but it'll be a reference point, for everybody to go back to for new breeders and things like that, cover exceptions. And so,
That's
yes.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Great.
I mean, a lot of other associations have like a handbook for this exact thing. So I'm very excited to hear that. Thank you.
Great.
Any other questions on the website? Dale, maybe you want to talk a little bit about what Andrew referred to as the widget and what we're trying to get up on that part of the website.
Sure. So yeah, we're not, fully using the website to its potential. And so we have a scrolling bar where the initial idea was a place for update information, that's coming through the website that people want to share. And so really what's slowing that down is lack of content. And so I would love to have more information about things that are happening around the country that I could then post on that constantly is kind of scrolling in real time that people could look at and know what's going on. Plus people that would be just visiting the website for the first time and don't know anything about Devon's, they could see what's happening across the country. And so for those of you who are on here now, any information like that you would like posted to it, we just need to contact well, actually, I probably need to make a better contact for it, the webmaster email, and then we could start posting more things.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments for Dale? And again, I've got to thank Dale and his family for all the work they've done, yeoman's work on this over the last 1.5 to 2 years. Okay, moving on. I'm going to call on Mark for election results. Mark's been receiving the ballots along with the committee. So you want to give your report, Mark?
Yep. We mailed out 75 ballots to the voting members of the association. 34 of those ballots were returned, which is about 45% participation in that. We had 2 candidates that were incumbents, Bruce Farr and Andrew Van Ord, and also there was a space on the ballot for write-ins. So stating that, the results were we had 33 votes for Andrew Van Ord, we had 20 votes for Bruce Farr, we had 2 write-ins, Dora Franks, which received 13 votes, and Sam Peck, he received 2 votes. So the 2 directors to move forward would be Andrew Van Ord and Bruce Farr.
Hey, Mark, thank you very much. As per the bylaws at our next directors meeting, we will elect officers from the directors, president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Moving on, old business DNA discussion. I think, Steve, you stated before that that's something that will be brought up in the future. I don't know if you want to say anything further at this point about it.
No, we'll be contacting folks as soon as we get this the Holstein situation squared away.
Okay. All right. Under new business, I have summer and fall gathering. We over the years we've done a number of gatherings, spring, summer, fall. We've even done a winter one. What this does, it gives the opportunity for some of us directors to go to some area in the country where interested breeders want to talk to you face to face, maybe have a little field day, whatever somebody would like to host and organize. We're always looking to do that, very willing to do that, and always want to keep this available for people who want to volunteer to host or organize some sort of event. We've had events around oxen seminars at Williamsburg. Before this meeting started, a few of you were chatting about some that are coming up at Tillers. We've had events in North Carolina. We've had events in Missouri. We've had events all over the place. That's where we actually met Ryan, who's on this call, out in Missouri back in, I think, what was it, 2011 or something. So always interested in that. If anybody has any ideas, contact one of the directors. Scholarship. Andrew, I think you're going to talk about that, correct? You're muted, Andrew.
Just a moment, let me put up one last share here. So I believe this is our second year for a Ray Clark Memorial Award. And it's my honor to present it to Lincoln Michaud. And I'd just like to take one part of his application and share it with everybody. The question is, what is your future career plans and how does the American Milking Devon cattle fit into those plans? His response was, once I graduate from Cornell University with a degree in animal science, concentrating in dairy management, I plan to return home to the family dairy farm. I aim to breed my own herd of American Milking Devon cattle, maintaining a similar herd size to what we have now. I have a goal to breed Devon cattle that match strictly to the breed characteristics and go above and beyond the scorecard. Over the past decade, the population of the Devon breed has gradually been increasing. I plan to promote the characteristics, unique composition, and advocate for the breed's future and longevity, as well as support the American Milking Devon Cattle Association. I think that was a perfect answer. And again, it's my honor to award that to, I'm sorry, glitching here. My honor to award that to Lincoln Michaud.
Woohoo!
Congratulations.
Good job.
Good job,
Lincoln, are you
Lincoln.
still with us?
Congratulations, Lincoln.
No, I appreciate it a lot. Ray had an integral part in my life. We live relatively close to each other, and he was a mentor and a leader to so many, and as well as me and my brothers and my father. And it was an honor to be the recipient of this scholarship. And I plan to work closely with the association and the breed in the future. So it's much appreciated, and I'm very thankful.
Thank you, Lincoln. And again, congratulations. Well deserved.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, that's what I have on the agenda, except for this one lovely category, other. Does anybody have any discussion topics or comments for the good of the Breed Association? This is your chance.
I'd like to say something whenever
Terry,
you're
go
done.
ahead.
No, that's okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Terry.
I know some folks have probably seen me post a couple things on the Facebook page. I was mentored right, I believe, by people that love the cows and love the herd and love the association. So whenever I see somebody attacking it, I take issue with it. I know that Kendi Sawyer has been sowing seeds of dissent. I know she's come to my farm and asked me to run for board to push a certain agenda, and I kicked her off my farm. I know her and another lady who started another Facebook page, and I just don't like the negativity that's coming from that. And I'm not one to sit back and be silent while other people are undermining what I feel is our association when they're not even members and they don't even have cows. I think it's just awful. And that's not a shot at Dora. I'm sure I'd love following Dora's stuff. I know. Did you just throw up? Okay. Anyways, I follow Dora's stuff and I like what she's doing with milk and stuff like that. And I think it's great, but I think some people have been lured into this other Facebook page and unwillingly are being led by these folks who are just doing nothing but trying to undermine our association because they couldn't get their cows registered, or they feel somebody doesn't like them, or all the things that I've heard before. And if you've been approached by these people, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you want to stay silent about it, then stay silent about it. But I don't think that it's nice that people try to undermine what we're trying to do with the association. As you've heard, it's growing. Dale just talked about, I'm sure he spent many of hours in this website. I've talked to Andrew, I've talked to Bruce. I know the hours that you guys put in and I'm grateful for it, but I just, when somebody else is on Facebook and they're not willing to put in a single minute to help improve our association because I've asked them and they've not responded about it, then I think it's a slight on all the people that do spend the hours working to make our association better. And as you can see, making it grow. It may not be growing at the pace that some people may like, but it is growing, and that's because of the hard work of the volunteers at our association. The next thing that I want to touch on that is bothering me, and it's already been talked about, is it seems to me that folks are buying unregistered cows at a cheaper rate and then pushing for this DNA to be approved. I went back and read through the minutes. DNA is already a voluntary process. I don't understand what the intent is for this DNA policy. There's never been an intent that's been assigned with it. Why are we doing this? If it's voluntary, we already have a voluntary policy. You can go and DNA your cows whenever you want to. They're your cows. I do not understand what the intent is on the association. As far as I've talked to the DNA folks that was brought up for this, there is no 100% verification or parental. There's no 100% definite thing that can be done with it. So I don't understand what the push is, other than to eventually make it permanent for people to register unregistered cows that they bought. And to me, if you're going to go buy unregistered cows and you're not going to buy them from a breeder who's known, who's a member, who's got registration, then you have a herd of cows that you got what you deserved and you got what you paid for. And it's not everybody else's responsibility to go out and do more work so you can get unregistered cows registered. So that's my 2 cents. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's not to slight anybody. I know the agendas of the people that are pushing things, and I just don't think it's right. And I apologize if I offended anybody or if I made our association look negatively, but that's just how I feel about it. So thank you for the time.
May I
Can I say something? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Terry,
John's muted.
Okay.
Mine's muted?
No, John was muted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Terry, I just want to say I didn't mean to fall out of my chair. That wasn't anything you said. I had a muscle cramp. My leg cramped up right as you said my name. I was like, oh. So that's all that was. Thanks.
No problem. And I don't want you to think that I appreciate you being willing to serve and all that stuff like that. I just didn't agree with how it was put out and where it was put out.
That's all right. It was last minute, and I hope I get to visit you and your farm and your cattle someday.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Karen Weaver. Or was that my screen shows Bonnie? I
No,
don't
go ahead,
know.
Karen.
Okay. Let's see. I really don't see any concrete evidence that anyone intends to move anything about this modern stuff like DNA and also the flushing a cow for eggs and stuff like that, and then I think you can fertilize in a petri dish. I don't know anybody that's concrete on that. I think it's been voluntary, like Mr. Greer said, and that it stay that way. However, I bought a cow and she came up with some diseases. I didn't have her tested before I bought her. She was a registered cow. Came up with some terrible diseases I did not want in my herd ever. So I have the opportunity by taking eggs from that cow and getting embryos and completely bypassing any kind of hereditary disease that cow had. And that's a wonderful thing because the bloodlines of the cow were good. It's just that probably it wasn't managed well in the herd and it had diseases. So what we're trying to do, Dora does it and I do it, we're trying to test for every kind of disease that a cow could possibly have and pull heavily. But if they've got a disease that we don't want, and yet it's a great bloodline guy going back to probably something that John raised years ago, those things need to be saved. And I think that's the only way that you can bypass inherited diseases. So I'm willing to do that. It does cost a lot of money, but it should be voluntary. And as far as some people, maybe there's some people that don't ever want to milk a cow, but I do. I want to milk mine, and I sometimes go out and tie up her calf and then wait a few hours and milk her. Yeah, I want to do that. So I'm glad that there's some data being saved. I think Dora's doing that. Some data is being saved to show how much those cows can produce. And that's it. I think that's a wonderful thing because I'm not just going to stick with jerseys. These in Devon are the best. They have such a better attitude than some of the jerseys I've owned, I'm telling you. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate the association, appreciate everybody that's preserved this herd until now. And I don't want to do anything to diminish the things that these cattle can do. And I certainly don't want any inherited diseases. So I'm going to spend the money I need to do to test everything on the cows and to have records on that. When I sell somebody a cow, it's got to be 100% clean. And I want to be able to, and their heritage, of course. Thank you.
Bonnie, I have a question for you.
Sure.
This is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
I send in registrations on all the calves when we brand, but we don't castrate any of the bulls until they're yearlings because we want to grow them up and see
How they grow out.
how they grow out and
Yes.
stuff. So when we do castrate them, do you want the registration paper sent to you on those ones that are castrated?
That would be great. Yeah, and you could just say they're castrated, and I can note that in.
Yeah,
the
they're not
registry.
they wouldn't be breeding animals anymore.
Right,
so.
that'd be awesome.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
just wondered about that. Then I have one other topic, and this is just something to put to the board, and maybe you guys have already thought about it, maybe people already know what to do, but we talked to Steve after the last Zoom call, and we live out here in South Dakota in the middle of nowhere. Nobody around here knows what Devons are. They don't like horned cows. When they're non-saleable in our area as far as going to a sale barn or something, because everybody's into the beef breeds, the Angus and the Hereford and all that. My question was to Steve when we talked to him is we're getting older. And our kids are not involved with the ranch. They don't want a ranch. They don't want to have cattle. So if something should happen to us or something happened to Don, what am I going to do with this herd of registered cows that I want to save the genetics on? But I'm not going to be able to take care of them, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, a long ways away from other Devon breeders. Is there something put in place or something we could think about doing if somebody gets in a
clearinghouse? that
you
we
know,
could sell 'em
something.
through.
So I'll tackle that a little bit. This is a problem as we all get older, and we've talked about this on the board of directors. You know, for a while I was the youngest guy on the board of directors, which was kind of scary because I've been collecting Social Security for quite some time. This is a real problem. It's not as bad of a problem here on the East Coast because, let's say I were to go away, I'm sure that some of the people on this call and others here in New England would come and buy their choice of the cattle. The rest would go to a sale barn for whatever they bring. Yours would probably, frankly, end up in the sale barn and bring pennies on the dollar.
Oh, they would totally go for kill. They'd chop their heads off. You'd lose all the genetics.
Right. And that's been a problem as the breed has expanded. It's a good problem that we're expanding, but this is a problem that at some point we need to address. A number of years ago, there was a herd in South Carolina that Bonnie and I and Ray Clark went and visited in person. Sue's nodding her head. She was down at that meeting. You didn't go on the inspection, I don't think, but the three of us did. And there were probably I'd say 60 or 70 animals on that herd running on 700 acres of a rice plantation. that the older gentleman who had them had some registered, most were not because he had been incapacitated for quite some time. His children cared less, and they were looking to try to do something with them. And we looked as an association to consider what to do. First of all, to catch them and get them in a trailer would have been several days' work. Secondly, how do you identify any kind of parentage? And even with DNA, with you have several generations all running and melded together, it would be difficult. Unfortunately, we lost that herd, the slaughterhouse. But this is something I think, as an association, we're charged just to register the animals and help to educate about the breed. I mean, do we want to get in the business of saving herds? Is this something we could work with the Livestock Conservancy? These are questions that we've tossed around but have come up with no answers on. So anytime anyone feels like giving us input, we would certainly appreciate it. Any ideas, what we could do. And frankly, our kids are not that interested in the farm either. So, I mean, I don't know what happens to our animals at some point. You know, it's a question that we're all going to have to wrestle with it someday. And I'm interested in whatever people have for ideas.
I think it might not be a bad idea to probably establish a rehome and adoption committee, possibly, that could possibly take care of animals from registered members that are registered animals. But in the situation, I mean, I think it would just get too daunting in a situation where it was a unregistered, a non-member with unregistered cattle and just had no, it would probably be too much of a task to keep up with all that. I mean, the bottom line is we raise cattle and we know what happens to them. We've seen our friends and neighbors age out, and I'm pretty much at capacity. I'm sure most people try to breed as much as they can hold and do as much as they can with it, but I don't think it would be bad to try to establish some kind of adoption rehoming committee or Facebook page or something.
One thing to add too, because it affects even herds that people are closer and herds that have interest in them, is to make sure that your cattle are all positively identifiable. I believe you've commented that yours are all branded, but frequently they've run into cases where tattoos are faded or they never were tattooed. I know even on my own small farm, I can identify all my cattle. My daughter can identify all my cattle. I'm sure my wife would have a hell of a time trying to match up papers with a cow. But I think that's very important, though, that everybody keeps their animals positively ID'd, because if they're not, the clear answer is going to be that they're not going to be able to be moved on.
Well, we tattoo everything. Everything's got an ear tag. The ear tag corresponds with their tattoo. And then, of course, like I say, we brand. And we do DNA testing on everything.
It would be nice to have some sort of a clearinghouse to where we can say, we've got to get rid of these cattle, and it's going to take, we've got 2 months to do it. How can we, who needs cattle? Where can they go? I
have a suggestion or thought. If the gentleman in Oregon, I would get in contact with him. But also, if we had a stewardship program where people are looking, put a thing on Facebook, looking for young people to help come take over the farm or something that way, where you could do that, because even with the number of cows I have, and I'm in the same boat. I had a good milking line, but it's still in my area. If I would sell one at the sale barn, I get half the price of a Angus.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of it. Oh, go ahead.
But I think if you had a steward program and you found young people because there are young people that want to do it. There's several people on Facebook every once in a while you see them. I saw one the other day looking for Devons on Facebook. So the some of the Facebook pages are good. So you just Which one?
Which Facebook page? The association or the other?
It was the Rocky Mountain one, Pacific Northwest or whatever I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Somebody out in Missouri was looking for some Devons, and somebody in I think it was I think Michigan was looking for some. But we just have to be. I try to help people find. I mean, there was I helped move a couple herds, but we need. If people know that people want to get out, you can get in contact with some people on the board maybe, and try to help move them that way, because there are a lot of people looking. They just don't know where to go.
Right. Well, and we don't want to get rid of them now.
No, but I'm just saying.
Still in good shape. Yeah, we're still in good shape, but we could go out and both get killed in a car wreck, and here our kids, they don't even live around here, and we put our land our place into trust, and so they're the trustees. We still have our name on everything, but they are the trustees. So we would get killed together. They're going to have to deal with, okay, now we got a herd of cows. What are we going to do with them? We don't even live here. And we've got neighbors. I kind of put something in place. I wrote down for them. We've got neighbors that could, in the immediate time, come feed them or, help take care of them, but they couldn't do it in long term.
So that's going to be like what I'm saying. You've got to get rid of them in 3 weeks time.
And with the numbers of Devon left in the world, and we're trying to save the genetics and save the herd, I would hate to have them hauled into our local sale barn, because they'll cut every one of their heads off.
They've done it before.
In fact, we took some in, and they said, those are Longhorns. And we said, no, they're not. And they said, damn right, they're Longhorns. And you couldn't convince them, because these old guys, they know cattle,
I think a lot of this. At any point in time, I'm just going to cut in here. At any point in time, you guys could have an accident or an injury and be incapacitated and not able to continue the dedication you were. Does that invalidate you as a breeder just because your cattle may have fallen on the side for personal reasons? I mean, to me, that seems like you can be a good breeder and have something happen and not get your animals registered. Yeah. Life happens. There needs to be a fail-safe for when life happens. That's what I want to see. There's a lot of good animals out there that are lost tragically. In a small breed, we can't afford that. The ones that are culls, absolutely, but not the ones that need to be kept up.
Some of the I'm sorry, who are you?
That's Emily.
No, that was Cassandra just speaking.
That's right,
Cassandra. Okay.
I wanted to say that I understand completely. I think there's a lot to unpack here. I think just to touch on the first thing is that we need to promote the breed and promote people seeing the value in this breed, and that's part of our stewardship. I would love to see more outreach and education and actual numbers, because it's really hard to convince beef people around here that they are worthy specimens. And so we're trying to record all of our numbers, all of our grow out time, all of our live weights, hanging weights, finished weights, and marketing, teaching people also how to market this breed that is truly an amazing grass finished breed, low input, excellent forage. So I think that's part of it and that's going to solve problems for building the breed and for getting more stewards. So I think that's one aspect, but that doesn't solve your immediate issue. I think what Cassandra is alluding to is this is my guess, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's how can we use DNA to potentially recover old registrations, or if someone gets sick and does things that maybe they can't register. I've talked to Neogen. I have in writing where they tell me that they cannot create pedigrees for multi-generational animals, like a herd. Let's say that you have parents that are registered, right?
But now you have somebody who fell out of the association and wasn't able to manage their herd. Well, now you have 3 more generations and you don't know who's bred who. They cannot reliably do that with their system because there's too much risk for error. They can do a lot. They can take 2 parents and say, is this a qualified sire and dam, or is this not? They can take 2 bulls and say, is this the daddy or not? But they can't take somebody who's had a herd of multi-generations that have been lost to follow up and try to piece together that pedigree. Right. And so there's limitations to it. But I do think that speaking from someone who very much does not want mandatory DNA testing, I do see that there could be, if somebody's going to DNA test anyway, it would be nice to have a bank with the association to have that data. That if somebody in the future doesn't want to have to spend the money to DNA test their animal, it's already there. I see that totally as a voluntary basis. The fear is that this is a slippery slope and that some people here want to use DNA testing to make their animal, quote unquote, worth more, or that there's risk there's just a risk of anything being a slippery slope. It would be wonderful if we could have a statement that said that, we will never make this mandatory. Maybe that would make more people comfortable, but it is currently voluntary. It's just not voluntary. We don't have a place that houses that information. The issue also with that is that you need to have a single DNA tester, basically. So as a group, you'd have to figure out who you're going to go with, because there's different modalities for that DNA testing if you want to use it in the future. So there's a lot of things to consider. I think that it could be beneficial to have a voluntary submission and have it housed in one place. Certainly, I think we're going to lose more people than add if it's mandatory. But also, I think it comes down to having good stewardship. And I think I would love to see the association actually have more Facebook interaction, would have more things to offer on the website, which it sounds like we're getting. But I just had somebody reach out to me wanting to buy a bull calf, and they're an hour from me. And they have had registered Devons since 2019. They have never been members. And they sent me pedigrees because we were discussing price and things. And I'm like, oh man, this is great. They're right here. And I said, can you send me some of your pedigrees? I want to look at them. They haven't transferred any of those animals into their name.
Right.
Well, it's not their job. It's the breeder.
Hold on. I'd like to say something too. I don't want to interrupt you, Emily.
No, please.
I would like to, there is a lot to unpack, and they're 2 separate and distinct things from what Mary and Don are talking about. Versus those that are not choosing to register. And sure, as we age, I get that part. But if these are people that are just buying animals and like you just have said, Emily, that they've never registered, they've never been a member of the association, but yet they are, sorry, my computer is doing something here, that they're, saving a breed, or, they care about this heritage breed. They need to join the association and work with us, not work against us. I want to give kudos to Terry Greer, what he said earlier. You're never going to stop people from, this has 8 muscles in this tongue, and you can do a lot of damage with it. And frankly, that other Facebook group is not helping the breed at all. Everybody that I've looked at, that most people on that are not even members, haven't been members. Some in many years, some never have been a member. I don't even know who they are. So people are getting information that way. And yes, we want to save the breed, but this is a heritage breed. I didn't come from any kind of farming background, so I have learned a lot from John and his family and the way they've done it. And if you truly care about the breed, you would be invested in it and not say, oh, because life came and I didn't have time to register the animal. There's no excuse for that. If you are really trying to raise some other breed, But if you care about this breed and then you come and say, I've got 3 generations, even 2 generations that have never been registered, I just, as the registrar, I just can't buy it. I don't buy it. I just think
completely
it's
agree.
laziness or lack of record keeping, or who knows how many bulls you really have. Because I trusted everybody when I started this, and Sue, I'm sure you can relate. And now I look with a different lens, which bothers me because it's changed who Bonnie is. And I don't even know some of the animals that are on somebody's property. You know, they're sharing bulls, I don't know what they're doing with their cows. It's very difficult to say that they care about the breed if they're not following what the association says to do. And I'm so thrilled that the board is developing this handbook or whatever it's going to look like, sections for going through everything that a potential breeder and our members need to know, because I haven't made anything up. Sue didn't make anything up when she trained me. It's what it's always been. And that's just my few cents on that subject.
So I'm going to throw out a question here. I've heard a number of different things in this conversation, and a lot of it to me comes back to education. And in the last 7 years, we as an association have worked with Backyard Green Films, and I'm sure most of you have seen on YouTube some of their work.
Yeah.
Starting with the card grading in Colonial Williamsburg in 2017, that, in my opinion, has been so beneficial to this organization. You know, we talked a little earlier about gatherings and going in person. When things are on YouTube, you can watch them at your discretion. I don't have to be there, or you know, Sue went on a number of those regional meetings. Sue doesn't have to go, or whoever else doesn't have to go and educate people one-on-one. We can do this on YouTube. Over the years, you know, they're a great little small film company that's interested in rare heritage breeds. Bonnie and I have spent a huge amount of our own personal money to do some of this. The organization has spent, in my opinion, very little money to do those videos. And my question is, would that be beneficial to spend some of the association money on more of that type of stuff? And what type of subjects would you recommend? I mean, you've seen what we've done. We caught Ray Clark and spent 2 days of capturing his ideas and thoughts on the history of the breed and edited it down to a 1-hour presentation. It's on YouTube, which, in my opinion, was invaluable to catch those years of experience before he passed.
I have a couple of thoughts.
On YouTube, you've got some stuff with Dale and his family with milk. You've got stuff about oxen. Do you think this as a group is beneficial? Should the association do more of this, which is part of our 501c5 status, is education?
I don't think you have to spend money on this necessarily.
Well, you have to pay if you're going to get it on film.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that the way that people digest in order to the new generation, so to speak, as speaking as somebody who's really trying to market my farm right now and trying to brand myself, people are looking at 15-second videos, you know, or photos with captions. And I guess I think that if we as a group, or maybe there could be certain that if we leveraged Facebook, that would reach many, many people. There are homesteading groups on Facebook. There are small farm groups on Facebook that I think maybe engaging with them, sharing some facts about Devons, sharing even just your farm and your setup would be really helpful. We're trying to educate on, why Devons are excellent for beef. Why are they great as a first cow? I don't have milking stats, but if we could share milking stats, that would be amazing. Even things of like what to look for, or just even the process of how to register, how to transfer. YouTube is great. And I think we should connect with that. And you can link YouTube to Facebook. But the part of why I think there's such a disconnect is that we have these other Facebook groups that are very active, right? They're very loud. So can the Devon Association, be more present on Facebook, share that information, and have more outreach so that we're coming to the association for our information as opposed to those other groups.
So let me just address
May I?
that.
Yeah.
So I guess when I say YouTube, that's where we currently have stuff. Backyard is capable of saturating it on Facebook or whatever platform you want to use and whatever length you want to use. My point with that is if we're going to do that, we need to use somebody like Backyard or some other group or company, because as directors and volunteers, we're already giving a lot of our spare time to this association. A number of us are retired. A number of us directors, I don't know if you know, but you certainly heard Jeremy. He's managing a farm with 600 animals plus and a multi-million-dollar processing plant. I run a town here besides the farm and recently retired from a business. Dale is a, I don't know if you know this, he's a doctor. He's an emergency room doctor. He's a, we have lives. We're busy.
Absolutely.
And,
I'd love to
we
make a
don't have time to do
suggestion.
all of this, Bill. I think we need to farm it out to somebody that does it professionally so we can have good quality product out there. But I'm asking what the interest is behind that. I don't care what platform it goes on.
I'd love to make a suggestion, John.
Yeah.
I love your idea. I love what you've done with the company. I like the idea of using the company and using funds allocated for that. I wonder if there could be sort of a set of videos that are specifically helpful to the issues that everyone's been talking about and discussing with members, even registration, but carding, that kind of thing. Helpful videos for the community at large, and there could be a library, like a video library on the website, and it could be specific and very targeted videos to the audience that will be helpful to the general audience, and maybe even become more specific. Sorry, my dog sees a squirrel. So anyway, I really like that idea. I like the professionalism of it, even allocating some funds to it for the reasons that you're saying now, John. But also to have a library on the website of these things.
Can I say
That's my
something?
suggestion.
I think wonderful ideas, right? And the website we should tap into. And I think it speaks to the membership. I had just a couple of questions, and maybe I'm too late to the party, but like if we have 86 members, is that based on 2025 stats? And Mark
Yes.
sent out, I think you said 76 or 74 ballots. Like, where's the other
Yes.
10? So
And send
I
them
have
back.
questions like that. I have logistic and data sort of things, but I think the comment, and I think it's going back to structure, John, right? So I don't think, and I don't speak for everybody on the call, but my experience has been, while there may be board and board members, it's often that you have subcommittees. So I don't think, like Emily's saying, or other folks may be saying, we expect you guys to do all the work. I think it's structure. You've got board members and you've got some ideas, a list of priorities and what I heard was strategic communication. And with that strategic communication, what's the plan under that? And then you sort of divide and conquer, right? You reach out, you get some folks in the association to have a subcommittee and really vet some information out, the how-tos and what's it going to look like, all that stuff. So I think it's structure, so don't feel like it's burdened on you and the board. I think they're wonderful ideas, and I think it just needs some structure. Like, okay, great idea, capture it, and then next steps. So and then you get to move forward. I mean, I don't do Facebook, so I apologize. So some of the information I'm not aware of, but I think about what are we solving for, right? So if there's a group that's a little negative or a lot negative, that's 1%. Let's spend our energy moving forward and be positive and focus on what the association and how to develop and grow and whatever the aspiration is or priorities are, versus the negativity. I totally agree with that comment. So again, I can't speak to it. I don't do Facebook, but I think, there's some things that we can tighten up that we currently do, that we do well. And I think there's some things to grow. But again, you got to have this. I always think about a plan. Like I'm a planner. Like, what's the plan? What's our goal? So if we had 3 initiatives in 25, website, DNA, and maybe something. What's the initiatives in 26? They're finalizing the website or the DNA document. It's talking about marketing, or in really almost overutilizing the website even more, or registration with the Holstein. So it's those, what's the plan, so that people then can focus on, if somebody's into the communication part of it, great. Those are the folks you want on that committee. If it's the website or if it's the marketing, whatever it is, because likely, like you said, the backgrounds of folks are very diverse, very diverse. So tap into that skill set and really utilize it to grow and develop and be solid, so that you can pull those libraries of videos, or you can, ascertain information, or provide people, go to the website, or look here, or wherever it happens to be. So I think communication is key. That's what I'm hearing consistently, or lack of. It could be improved. Communication could be improved, but it's structure. What's the plan? Where are we going? What do we want to look like? Where do we want to be in 5 years? I don't know. That's how my brain thinks.
Kim, that
Thanks,
makes a
Kim.
lot of sense. And I think more engagement from the members towards the association would go a long way too.
Yeah.
We considered having, district directors. It's expanded in Midwest, and we've heard people on the West Coast now that are getting into this. Having someone coach the region could be really helpful in just growing the numbers and advocating and helping others. It's a mentorship of sorts.
Let me just back up, Kim, and answer your question about numbers. We had 85 members in calendar 25. The 74, whatever that number, those are the people who have renewed or joined in 26 up till the April 1st deadline to receive a ballot. That's the differential.
Yep, that makes sense. Thank you, John. I knew there had to be a reason behind that. I just didn't know what it was.
To answer your other thing, this is why I think this is great. We always have this little informal thing at the annual meeting for the board to get ideas about where we move forward, what's the important avenue we should be taking here. And that's why I was throwing out, something about videos or educational promos or whatever you want to call them. But, I think it's great, because it certainly beats one-on-one trying to travel somewhere and talk to somebody or a group. Although there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the reach is so much further in digital communication.
You think about too, John, even an annual meeting, I would consider, in my opinion, if you had more frequent, even if it's quarterly, right? Just to reconnect, to pull in the people, and that versus annually, because I think you miss some opportunities as a group. We miss some opportunities and some updates and some enthusiasm. Like I think, when there's, or whatever that communication strategy looks like moving forward, I think there's some opportunities.
Yeah, and just doing this on Zoom the last 2 years. Kim, you've been to a number of annual meetings in Vermont. Ray used to say we could have held them in a phone booth. There'd be anywhere between 10 and 15 people there. Sue, you can remember when it was 7 or 8 maybe at the annual meeting, and that was a good turnout. And now we're up to 25 today. So, it's progress.
But if you think about it, we have a quarter here, right? So if there's 76, 74, call 75, because I'm horrible at math. So, and there's 25 on the call, we're not where we need to be. We're not even at 50%. So I think that speaks volumes as to why aren't even our members participating in so I think it just needs to, this is what I used to say. So, you got to make it sexy, right? You got to make it like relevant. You got to figure out why people aren't here and how do we get them here, because maybe you're missing some opportunities.
If I could speak directly to Facebook, I think Emily's absolutely correct. We could leverage that more. But I would split the discussion up into 2 things. One being advertising the breed, advertising individual farms, and that type of stuff. just for your knowledge, I believe all the directors have the ability to share and administer that Facebook page, but it primarily falls on me. I'm completely willing to share, if you want to share what you're going on with your farm. I might not see it in my own personal page. Um, Send me a message, whatever, wake me up. I have no problem sharing that type of stuff to the association's Facebook page. The more the merrier with that type of stuff. The problem that I have seen time and time again is discussing association business on Facebook, and it frequently blows up. I was naive when I came home from the annual meeting, where it was decided to have progressive fees and the 5-year rule. Came home and announced it on Facebook so that everybody would have every opportunity to get their cattle registered up so it didn't affect them. And it blew up into a discussion after the fact, debating something that had already been decided by dues paying members. And a huge amount of the discussion was being conducted by people that weren't even members, weren't even Devon breeders, had no business in any of it. And it just turned into a whole bunch of disinformation and really a bad look for the association. And I think I've seen that time and time again on Facebook. So me personally, I would rather not have the association's business discussed and debated on Facebook, because I just think it becomes a bad look. I know all the directors are willing to discuss anything with any directors. I would suggest that you put it in an email and copy all of the directors so that we all see the same thing. And I'm sure that we're all willing to take any phone calls if anybody has suggestions or complaints or anything like that. But just in short, I'm more than willing to share anything that you have going on that's a positive reflection on the breed, marketing, anything like that. I just don't think that Facebook is the place for our internal business.
I agree.
Especially
Thanks,
unofficial
Andrew.
pages.
I just want to say I didn't mean my comments as a slight to you or the work that you're doing with the Facebook page at all. I just hope that wasn't taken that way. But I think, yeah, just understanding how we can reach out or how we can help promote the breed on Facebook, whether that's like, even we could do like a takeover, like where, regional breeders could even take over the Facebook page and like post. And there's a lot of interesting things that we could do that I would love to help with. I'm sure many others would love to help with. But that's maybe for an offline conversation. But thank you so much for being willing to do that. And I also understand not wanting to maybe make statements on behalf of the association on Facebook. I understand that. The other caveat, though, is that those statements are still being made by the other groups. And so sometimes it could be beneficial to at least have an official statement out there. I don't know. That's neither here nor there, but I understand the need to separate things potentially. So thank you.
I didn't take your comments as a slight at all, and I will fully admit that I've kind of fallen through with the Facebook page and will commit to stepping it up. But similar to what Dale was mentioning with the website, we kind of need your help with content. And as far as the official statement, I've given a lot of thought of that at different times too, of correcting some misinformation and stuff, but inevitably it just seems to kind of fan the flames and invite more politics. So it's been my feeling to just kind of keep quiet and let it go. I will say I do appreciate some of you stepping up and kind of pointing it out. And all I would do is just caution when you post so that, well, unfortunately, the people that are on here, I think you know who you're engaging and who you're not engaging, but just try to keep everything in a positive light for the association and the breed in general.
Everyone, I need to jump in here. I've got to hit the road. I have a 9.5-hour drive full of honeybee equipment and everything. And I'd love to see all of you guys, love the discussion, and I will see you all whenever something else is happening.
Thank you, Eudora.
Thank you.
For participating.
Thank you, Dora.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
I think as far as like I was talking about with the rescue and stuff like that, I don't think it would hurt to establish a.
You muted yourself, Terry.
Sorry, I muted myself. To establish, because I think we're talking about two things. We need to establish like a multimedia committee, somebody that's engaged in that. We definitely need to document not only the historical aspect of it, but the technical aspect of it, milking, beef, oxen, all that stuff, the technical experts that can do that. We definitely need to document that and pay for it as an association. I believe it shouldn't be coming out of, individuals' pockets. And then we could also have, a marketing arm of that where it's engaging on our website, Facebook, TikTok, all the other stuff that I'm not involved in.
Okay, do we have any other
Can I just
ideas or topics?
Can I make a couple comments?
Sure, Sue.
One for Dale, and I don't quite understand how this happens. Maybe it isn't possible. There are websites, legitimate websites that get the check mark next to their Facebook name. That might help differentiate us from another group. I don't quite know what the process is. I think there's something kind of a complex thing involved in it, but maybe it would be worth it to try and do that. So that, it says that we're the official website, but that would be the official internet website. The other thing about making videos for informational blurbs, I think it's a great idea, and I think we could do a lot with it. And one of the things that I found over the years is there are a lot of people buying cattle that either have never owned a cow or a head of cattle, or they'd never had horned animals. And just a reminder to, if somebody's going to work on that, start at the very beginning. And the thing that comes to my mind, I had a woman call me one time, and she's telling me how they bought a bull, right? And this was a breeding bull. And she's telling me how they had it in goat fencing, and her children are reaching through the fence to pet it. And, so I'm desperately trying to get it across to her that she's got to do something else. But just starting with very basic things like that. And like I mentioned, my grandson was looking at buying a Devon cow. He desperately wants to have a farm. He owns 3 old tractors and he's cutting hay. He's trying to find property he can buy. But I said to him, it was a grown cow. And I said, he has driven my husband's oxen. And I said, do you want to be able to handle this animal? He said, yeah. I said, before you even talk about buying it, you ask them, you go and you ask them to put a halter on it and to walk it, show you they can handle it. If you think you want to milk it and they're telling you that this is a milk cow, you stand there and watch them milk it. Things like that new people don't think about. But as experienced people, owners, we know that, those are things that you want to have, because it doesn't set anybody new up to be successful if they're buying an animal that's wild as a hawk, or they can't do what they're being told this animal will do. So even just little short films or educational things like that, I think would be great. And we could just create a library with links. And the other thing I thought of was my daughter-in-law and I both are big time into, I guess, what you would call homesteading stuff. Instead of buying things, how do you make it yourself? We raise a lot of our own food anyway. But if we could link to some of those homesteader pages so that people on those can then come to our site and look at what we have on there, that might also give us more of a reach.
All good ideas.
I have some comments, if that's all right.
Sure.
This is Sean. I'm the one that's out in Oregon. And I'll keep comments on each topic kind of brief, but I've just been patient and learning from all your wisdom, and I've added up a few comments here. Firstly, thank you again for all your work over the years protecting the breed. Back to what Mary had said originally, you're in South Dakota there. I think if we do have a case where someone has a herd that needs to be dispersed for whatever reason, I think not just because we're animal owners that want to be good stewards, but because we're the stewards of a rare breed, I think it's on our shoulders to have a call to action and a save the breed sort of coming together.
Thank you.
And that could be an online auction or an effort to bring together those that can do the work, even if those doing the work aren't necessarily the ones able to take the cattle. And in the, a tiny side comment, Mary, I'd like to chat with you because I've driven 10 hours for one cattle, 14 hours for another one I didn't buy, and 12 hours for another one. And then one died. So I've driven a lot of hours and those are one-way directions. I've driven a lot of hours for cattle out here, and I'm at the end of the Oregon Trail. I'd like to see more Devons out here at the end of the Oregon Trail, where a lot of them were oxens getting here.
Right.
Thank you for the comment about the YouTube video and the Backyard Green Films. I watched that video probably 10 times, listening to the wisdom and learning the advice. I think that if we could produce a high quality video, I think some ideas would be old farmer sort of wisdom interviews, some farm tours, some sort of short tips and that kind of thing, and then some best practices in the vein of as a younger, I'm in my 40s, but I'm a younger farmer. One of the resources that I would encourage you all to just go and take one quick look at is Angus TV on YouTube. They have some very clear, very well produced YouTube videos, and we don't need to make them of that same quality, but if we made some videos that were informational and best practices, those would be a resource not just to our breed, but to lots of breeds and cattlemen. And then that would sort of raise up our status within the cattle arena for those that would look to us as a resource of wisdom. We could have more meetings more often. I love that idea. I can't get to your farms very often. I went out to New York a few months ago and got to see a farm in person. It's the first time I'd ever seen more than 2 milking Devons in the same location. But I think having meetings more often and then I had I'm not sure if this would be feasible or not. I know a lot of people are very private with their, address, name, and phone number. But I wonder if we could have a list of registered paying breeder contact information that's not open to the public, that is open to registered paying breeders. Like, for example, I don't want my phone number, physical address, and full name on the website. But I would be happy to have any one of you be able to look me up on a list and say, Sean's in Oregon, here's his number, I'm going to call him. And I would love to be able to look up the name and phone number of any breeders that are in my area that may also have opted to not have their stuff on the internet. So I wonder if that would be a possibility of a sort of a contact list.
Sean, I can answer that if I can jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Just so you know, there are, when you fill out your dues membership, you check what you don't want to be on the internet. But however, there's also one that says nothing, that you don't want anything on. So those folks they'll receive ballots and they'll receive dues notices that, for the annual meeting. However, they will never be listed anywhere. So
Right.
they might be, in the next town from you,
Yeah.
and you would not know, and the registrar is not able to release that information because they have asked for it to be quiet. So just so you know that part.
Yeah, and
What's
I'm
on the
one of the
website is what people want, and the ones that don't want it, I would never
Yeah.
say a word because they've checked
I'm
it.
wondering, and I'm one of those people. I'm wondering if there's a middle option that we could institute where someone doesn't want it to be public knowledge, but they're okay with it being a part of the sort of internal, other members can see it, but the public cannot see it.
Private breeders list.
Yeah, like a breeders list that the breeders can see, like a phone tree within a church. The phone tree is not, it's not the phone book, but yeah.
Yeah, I belong to a guild that has that. Every year when you pay your dues, you get the password, and
Right.
you go and put your password in. It gives
It's
you
muted,
access
babe.
to other parts of the website.
That's what I've been asking for, Sue, for years, that the board look at that, because for 20, I don't know who else is talking, but for $20, you get access to everything. What is it? What is the incentive? I'm changing it just a little bit. What is the incentive for somebody to want to be a member of the American Milking Devon Cattle Association if I can just go online and see everything I want to see without the benefit of having, here's a members only section? Maybe that's where we have, special things like maybe Sean is saying, but also things for members. What is your dues getting you besides registrations? You pay for those, but it's something to consider, to look at in the future, that to be, especially if you're going to raise rates, to be a member, you get the access to this part of the website. And if not, then you can't. So
To
that's
build
my
on
thought.
that, if we could come up with something like that, it would require administration of who's actually a paid member. But it would be good if we had some sort of an online venue there where we could discuss AMDCA business. But you would have to be a member in order to get access to it so that the whole world isn't seeing it and isn't participating in it.
Right.
I think that would be something great for the future. The biggest problem I see with it is just the administration of it.
Right.
Any other ideas before we adjourn?
I just want to say one thing to Sean. I don't know if they still do it, but we, in the number of years ago, flew a calf to Oregon. She was about two and a half months old. You can't get them too big because there's a cargo door they have to go through. And we built her like a pig crate. And she flew to Chicago and then on to Oregon and did fine. Might help you get some bloodlines you're looking for.
Yeah,
that would be expensive, I think.
And I've been thinking about doing a sort of a road trip in preparation and visiting some farms, and doing doing a fly out visit to the East Coast, and inspecting some farms, getting some things lined up, and then
drive.
A trip across the country at some point, just to get some different bloodlines out here. But I do appreciate, once again, all your efforts to keep the breed alive. And I'm a member of several other small organizations. I know it's all volunteer, and even the parts that are paid are because you care and you love it. So thank you very much.
John, I'm out here in Missouri. I'd welcome a visit from you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Any other thoughts or ideas?
Yeah, John, I got one other thing going. You mentioned a couple meetings ago in the directors meeting that Tim Stanley's thinking about having a Devon show at Dutchess County Fair in August.
Yes.
How do we go about getting that information out, or do we contact him, or what's
I think we can contact Tim Stanley. His information, I think, Bonnie, is on our breeders list, correct?
Yes, he should be.
Yeah. And I think, Dale, maybe we can get something up on the website, and Andrew on Facebook, maybe.
Sure.
About the Dutchess County Fair. Good point. Anybody that has any fair participation, like before the call started, I know, Dale, you were talking about the fairs in your area and 4-H and all that. Anything that's listed like that, I think on our Facebook and website would be good. Anything that's promotional for the Devons at all. People may not want to come and display, but they may want to at least come and view and witness.
Yeah.
Anything else? If not, I want to thank all of you who are still on here. Thanks for your attention to this meeting. It's been great. It's been, I think, informative for the directors too. We'll take some of your comments and we'll see where we move forward on a lot of these issues. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Nice to see you all.
And Sean, he wants to talk to us. There's Terry. Bye, Terry.
Bye now.